live. We are live. Greetings, everybody. Um, the date is June 13. Let me make sure I got that right. 2024, and you're tuned into Context Matters. If you're joining me from Reggae Global Radio, where context matters reign supreme, a greetings to you. If you're on the YouTube, big up yourself. Big up to everybody on TikTok. Today, now, this live is about nursery rhymes, folklore, um, things we probably no longer use since Coco Melon and Dora Explorer. But the significance of the nursery rhymes, the hidden messages behind it in a world of where social media reigns supreme and the influence thereof, the new paradigm shift in how media is supposed to um, pretty much take part or is responsible for how we view things, where we get our information from. So let me start off by naturally saying big up to, I'm seeing Prince Reed, Carol Banton, big up to you, Sunshine, Country Gal, Sharon Clark, Alyssa Abu, big up yourself, Herbert Tozalin, um, Patrice Woodhouse. I'm saying greetings to everybody. And also, one of the most important thing I also want to talk about today is, the responsibility of empathy, compassion, humility, and whether or not the damages can be undone when there is a gamble, a blunder, or just when you've wronged somebody. Where do you draw the line in the sand? This is the kind of conversation that you have as people all over the world, different races, when you put it in context for what's happening with Israel and Hamas, the power dynamics, the way how people are using the authority given to them, and when it becomes abusive, when people are heartless. That's the type of thing where the real question is, who is Humpty Dumpty? And you can apply that. Just, is it a physical attribute? Is it metaphorical? Because sometimes the physical, it becomes so obvious, but we'll have that conversation. And you put it in context. This is a general conversation, so I don't want nobody applying it to anything, because it's that time of year where people know how to take your words and misuse it in the social dynamics of life. So you are tuned into Context Matters. For my people on TikTok, big up yourself. And I must tell you, it's been a very, 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 very exciting week. But you ask the questions, I might answer them. Outside of that, I have nothing to say. No comments, no pictures. Big up yourself, Northwest. Let's go. Context Matters.
That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
All right. Well, man, the partner draw TV. Yo, let me tell you something. Andre, no comment. Yeah, so sometimes you have to do your double duty as a media personality, as well as, should I say a media personality? Let me rein that in, as a social media personality. But anyway, so different media houses respect to the journalists who covered it, because matters of social importance or public importance, you want to get the news firsthand, and people are very different people, all people all walks of life, from Gary Mack media training, official, unofficial. Everybody is there, and everybody has their take on it. In a space where the Constitution gives you the right to disseminate information, the court in a particular famous matter, if you're watching, you'll know what I'm talking about. Saw it fit to ensure that persons were able to see it. So anyway, one of the persons is Partner Draw TV, who show up every day and doing his reporting. I've been so busy I haven't had the opportunity to see his take on everything. So big up yourself, Andre, because I saw you on the live a while ago. So special big up to you. Also, very interesting in terms of the dynamics from being an attorney at law as well as a media juggernaut slash lecturer slash just somebody with the type of integrity to deliver the type of news and stuff like that. Deion Jackson Miller. She's all angles, but I would say she's able to put things in context so you can see it from a different perspective. That's what all angles is about. I'm bigging her up because I've seen especially her YouTube channel, her ability to break down technical, complex issues and bring it to the public so that they can understand. So the importance of when information is disseminated, people have an understanding of, and the understanding I'm making reference to is comprehension, how important that is. Because let me tell you something. If you, while we're on the topic of the nursery rhymes, there was a game that teachers used to always allow students to play, and it is a Chinese telephone. I don't know for the love of me why, no matter what, you put 30, 40 people in a room and you tell them the sky is falling, and by the time it get back to you, them say the sky drop out of the sky and it fall, they did. Something of that nature. But if you won't get the information the way how you sent it out, because everybody's gonna put their spin on it. And that's the key thing that you have to grow to appreciate how when information is disseminated, it can be so inaccurate. One before I start what I'm saying, what I want everybody also to appreciate. And yes, I'm reading the comments, so don't think I forget you. I soon talk to you, but I just want to put things into context and let you know that context matters, even when context is king, because sometimes context can be queen, sometimes context can be anything, but context matters. It's a beautiful thing. Just as long as people putting it into context, because you matter, I know I matter. And if you're in America, Black life matters. And if you're not Black and you're in America, all life matters. So you put it in it, context matters. And yeah, that's it. And it's an elemental, so you know it go. Anyway, so I said a lot just now, but what I want everybody to appreciate is the ability to follow. When information is disseminated, you must be able to comprehend it, so that you're not clouded and shrouded in stuff like loyalty to a color, whether it be green or orange in the context of Jamaica. um, you would lose out and miss out on some of the most genuine people because of your loyalty to the affiliation. The other side of it is work. Work is just a place where because of being a human being and want to be productive to keep up in a society that forces that on you. If you make your work your life, you will lose out on the simple things of interactions with people who could possibly enrich your life. And so you're not shrouded in the culture of whatever the place where you work at cause you to become. So let your work be your work, but allow yourself to TGIF so that when you get home from the work, you're not still like a Humpty Dumpty pompous, just just big and logo and wagga and you don't know why you carrying walking around with so much baggage. Anyway, that being said, you do get the idea. So Humpty Dumpty, there's a song. Can't play it because I don't have no rights to it, but the Humpty dance is your chance to do the hump. Humpty dance is your chance to do the hump. Anyway, yeah, if you were born back in the days, during the MTV era and the Yo MTV raps, um, you get a good idea of what I was talking about. But you have Google, you have YouTube, so look for Humpty Dumpty and the Humpty Dance. While we're on that, we I'm going to show or display something for your edification. Um, so let me start by this one to kick off the conversation. And then you can tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Yeah, here we go. Hmm. Yes. So we'll be talking about this guy right here. Kill me then. Like, sometimes sometimes I don't have on the right glasses, but it's like as I put up this picture, I'm going through deja vu. But that's a matter for you. If you know, you know. So Humpty Dumpty, who is Humpty Dumpty? And that's what we're going to talk about because um, shout out to John Clark, attorney at law. Um, he has now made this Humpty Dumpty resurrect this nursery rhyme. So there's a lot of kids out there who they don't know who Humpty Dumpty is, but it's the message and the context that matters. That we're gonna just delve into why it is why from generations to generations it's important that you give your children. And don't get me wrong, in Jamaica we have our Anansi stories, and if you're from the African descent has similar things. If you're culturally the folklore, the folk tale, all those things that came down is important to enrich you because when you're found in different situations, they sometimes can help you. I just stick to the Bible, and always first reference is always the Moses story. It works for me, but find out what works for you. So Humpty Dumpty, let me so keep that. That's who Humpty Dumpty is. So you know that now. All right. So the first thing is it's important to explore the origins, history, and lyrics of one of the most popular children songs in the English speaking world. But it's a nursery rhyme. So they say it's songs, but it's repeated. The it's repeated like a poem, and the rhymes, there's a way in terms of where they talk about alliteration, amelioration, all of these that is a part of the literary tools. So the Humpty Dumpty was by Cole and Johnson. That's the author. Anyway, the in case you never know, I always have to start from first principles. Lexi, big up yourself. And not Alessandra, not Alexandra, not Alessandra Labiche, who did Young Attorneys so proud this week. Big up yourself. You're a legend. Now, the Humpty Dumpty. Here we go. As she came onto the she came why anyway as she came onto the platform, and she immediately I knew that I was to fix the format on the TikTok. All right, so it says Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king horses and all the king's men, and in this modern days, and women couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Well, The true thing is, who is Humpty Dumpty? I can't even say who was Humpty Dumpty because I may not ask Christ. Humpty Dumpty exists. I'm almost sure I saw them. And what brought him to that wall? And that wall could possibly be the wall of shame. It's a matter of interpretation. If you are John Clark, that wall is the walls of justice. Um, and how did he fall off? um, these things are important questions to ask. So we are attempting today on Context Matters to unpack the origins, history, lyrics, meaning of one of the most well-known children's songs in the English-speaking world. Um, I'm sure you know Baba, Black Sheep, and Mary had a little lamb, and if you don't like Humpty Dumpty, then you know the song. And this context matters. Old MacDonald. Yeah. MacDonald had a farm. So the before I go on, I'm gonna ask the questions, and I'm looking in the comments. If you want, you can tap it. Somebody, so you say Amber says the wall is the wall of ego. So you're into, yeah. Sometimes you can be fat with ego. And sometimes the fat can be literal. So if you're walking around and carrying that, it's not that you should be ashamed of your fatness, but you should know that you should be careful because when you fall, the fall won't be a light one, and you might break more than you need to break. But literal is not literal, but in terms of the heaviness of your ego. Beyonce would say you have a big ego. Well, I put it in context. She must know what she was talking about. Mel says Humpty Dumpty was high enough on the hierarchy to stop his work day, read a book, and command all the king's men to get him together. Right? Well, that don't even sound right, but why for that? But anyway, it's your comment, Mel. I just read it. I need to vet these comments before I start to read them. All right. So we say, who is Humpty Dumpty? You are the best person to try to figure that out. But the origins, well, he sat on a wall in 1870, and we're now speaking about this in 2024. A chap called James William Eliot included Humpty Dumpty when he collected together a load of English nursery rhymes and songs, set them to music, and published them in a volume called Mother Goose Nursery Rhymes and Nursery Songs Set to Music, with beautiful engravings by London engravers and the brothers Dalziel. So before that, the rhymes can be traced back to the 18th century, and variations in lyrics have been recorded over time. It's not clear who originally conceived the four-line poem, but Humpty Dumpty is the protagonist of the English nursery rhyme. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. The protagonist, I'm going to say, is the main character. So think of that. Now, perhaps due to his fragility revealed in the fall, he has often been portrayed as an egg, including by actor George L. Fox in his Broadway pantomime Humpty Dumpty, and by Lewis Carroll in his Weird and Wonderful Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So the egg it accounts for why he is fat. Somebody says, Little Miss Thing said the wall is the wall of silence, and that's a cheap shot at a certain lawyer that chat too much and need to shut up. So we see you, Little Miss Thing. And Sandwich's boss say it's a particular person, but you won't get me to read that one. Anyway, so what is the meaning behind the nursery rhyme? Well, there are other theories around the meaning of Humpty Dumpty. Some historians believe Humpty Dumpty was simply a device for a riddle around breakable things. So put that in context. Anything that can be shattered, including your ego, including probably your face, just anything. Relationships. Fragility is the idea, the concept. And so Others have suggested that Humpty Dumpty is King Richard III of England, who is supposed to have been humpbacked and who was defeated at the Battle of Bosworth Fields in 1485. So we could assume Humpty Dumpty is the king. The wall is his high reign and fight to preserve power. The fall is his defeat, and all the king's horses and all the king's men, the army that failed to prevail. Again, we always say put things in context. So if you're any situation, if we break it down, put it in context, we fit the pieces. So we start by saying, who is Humpty Dumpty? Very interesting, very important for you to be able to do that. So that's the starting point, I would say. So we are identifying Humpty Dumpty as the king. So, like possibly, for instance, in a room filled of people, and you're the most prestigious of all those people, you would be king of that room. Perhaps. I'm not going to put it in any other context. I'm just thinking out loud. So you fit the place. We could assume Humpty Dumpty is the king, and another theory is that Humpty is actually a canon during the English Civil War. Not a Buchanan though, so don't try it. Yeah. So the Civil War history says a one-eyed gunner named Thompson managed to get a cannon, colloquially called Humpty Dumpty, to the top of the tower of St. Mary at the Walls Church and wreak untold destruction on the forces below. So before return cannon fire dislodged the pair of them, hence had a great fall. Now, just know this. Humpty Dumpty was Alice's friend. You know, Alice in Wonderland, Humpty Dumpty was our friend and would provide guidance to her. So when Alice was trying to find out things, the most important thing that came from that is the most important thing that came from that, believe me when I tell you, is the idea and concept. So Alice now is is in Wonderland, and one if you know the nursery rhyme or you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, she's trying to figure out life. She's very inquisitive, and she goes into the wrong door and goes down the path and finds herself in Wonderland. Many things, and it's again the king and the queen and the queen of hearts and all of this is there. But in this situation, characters matter. Anyway, although we have a bit of chicken or the egg dilemma here, what came first? What is good is that Humpty Dumpty, the gross definition as chicken, or Humpty Dumpty, the egg. Take a look at the lyrics and we will see and then try to discover what we think. Again, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again, right? So the oldest known lyrics would have been 1797, and again, you know it. I don't need to repeat it, but by now, one of the things or the tool is repetition. Um, What it means is that it could not make Humpty Dumpty where he was before. So four score men and four score more couldn't make him the way he was before. So that is really what it is that when the person is destroyed, they couldn't resurrect themselves. So sometimes, especially if you live in a society where people bad mind and people are tearing you down, if you can't put your life back together, chances are you are Humpty Dumpty. But in a situation where persons would have possibly been subjected to, you know, the damage can be undone. And let me tell you what I mean. Let's put things in context. If it is that somebody bring harm to you, i.e., life, your life, you lose your life, that's something that can't be replaced. You can't get it back. So if you put it in context, put it in proper context, you will see right there and then immediately that that concept would mean all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't bring back life. So if you're driving in a car and you allow somebody as a passenger to drive you recklessly and you lose your life, you're because life is so fragile. I've always said it. Life is something given to us without knowing we are to receive it, so we are to protect it. So you give somebody control like of your heart when you fall in love. And shout out to the Yamids and shout out to you know the Boopsies and all the people who give up them heart for love and give away their money for love, but and then their heart is broken. There are certain things like heartbreak, a shatter, or even a plate. If you shatter a plate and you can't put it back together, even if you get all the pieces and put it back together, it will never be the same. And I think that's what people need to understand, that after you have hurt somebody or after you've done wrong to somebody, and the reality is that no amount of money ever can give you back. If somebody cut off your leg, even if you get a prosthetic one, a bionic one, whatever it is, you will never be whole again. So when in law, when they talk about damages, and if you ever one if any in time life you ever meet a great woman, her name is Miss Dorcas White, and she'll teach you remedies, equitable remedies generally, and she says damages and rooks and Bernard and these things. You get a sense that is to try to put you in the best position ever after a breach of your rights or after a violation, like wrongful arrest or something like that, false imprisonment. They try to pay you, but that compensation will never ever pay you. It's almost like we in the Caribbean, speaking at large, not limiting it to Jamaica, because we have as Caribbean neighbors a shared experience, even with our in the Western world, the Afro Americans, which is slavery. It has caused post-traumatic slave disorder, a genetics transference of the slave experience, so that people are emotionally damaged and they don't know. And two things: when people experience trauma, they become like their abusers, or they do the opposite. It's almost like flight and fight. So we have to think about that. We have to think about that when we have that, when we have that in our minds, how we deal with it. So that in thinking about that and thinking about trauma, that is the thing. Humpty Dumpty, as the protagonist in that nursery rhyme, is how we deal with it, or try to deal with the concept of the egg and the fragility of life, heartache, anything like that. What say you about that? Because that's really the essence of the story of Humpty Dumpty, and how we translate it. So if it is that somebody does damage or somebody has destroyed something, is it possible to put it together again? The answer is it's possible to bring it back the best way. And then when they think about harm and stuff like that, they'll do their best to make it as compensatory as possible, but not necessarily take it to a place where you need it to be. I'll leave it. I'll take it that the highest I can take it is there, and to ask anybody in the comments what they think about that. So it's a matter for you. Somebody said a broken thing cannot be as original. That is it. Dale, that is correct. Somebody say, yeah. That is it. Something that is broken, can it ever be repaired? I would share Dale's position that no, it can never be repaired. No one can give you back lost time. Kevin speaks of that. I can share something with you. And it might be personal, it might not be personal, but one wonders ever, like in my situation, many things in my life I would have done to make up for a proper lost 10 years. Um, and whether or not ever in my lifetime will I recover the time. I think the answer to that is no. So one of the things that people also have to learn to do is to get over it, because the importance of the mantra that I tell you, all is well, that's an affirmation, and also appreciating that because I know that I matter. I'm not dehumanized or minimized or shrunken by people who think that I don't matter, or people who think I shouldn't exist. I no longer worry about trying to make up lost time. And as Joycelyn Williams says, don't cry over spilt milk. And I agree, which is why take the I take it that forgiveness is important. It's important to forgive yourself. And it's so easy to forget people. And in forgetting people, you get the opportunity to have a clean slate. So I can say forgiveness is important. I can't speak to anybody about forgetting. So you can forgive, and it's on you if you want to forget. But sometimes if you forget, you really are blocking out trauma, you're blocking out experiences that possibly God, the creator, has put in your life so you could be the greatest versions of yourself. Um, Kevin says, missed opportunities or lost time can never be had back, and people are to appreciate that. I'm reading the comments and I'm trying to vibe with everybody, so we can bring the point home, right? So if the comments is active, we can work through it. So the when we think of that, when in a war or on a chessboard, identify who the king is. So I'm taking it now to the game. On the chessboard, it means that in the realm of war, there will be two sides. And when there's two sides, and it is a competition where one person wins and one person loses, obviously there are two kings. And so there has to be an umpire of fairness. So when the game is played, there is no cheating. But the idea of chess is that if there are two kings, is only one king must reign supreme. And every king must have a queen, because the queen is the baddest piece on the board. The queen can go everywhere and should do everything to protect our king. And so when we think of the Humpty Dumpty, who is a fragile egg, if you play chess, you will see from this application is the king is so useless on the board. The king can't move like the rook. The king can't move like the horses. The king can't move like the bishop. And more than anything, the king no bad like the queen. And the queen deadly come. You don't know something about a woman we fight for her man is what's so intriguing about that, and something to think about when processing that situation. But the idea is that one king has to reign supreme. So Humpty Dumpty is always going to be the person who is likely to be um, destroyed from the consequences. When you identify that person, the next thing you're supposed to ask yourself is, who are the king's horses and who are the king's men? Who are the king's bishops? Who are the king's castle? Who are the king's pawns? Who do they send out to make a fool of themselves? These are the pawns on the chessboard. But don't you take a pawn as nothing. And yes, do you see how life is poetic? Yeah, the bishop goes anywhere. But the queen moves in a long line. See the people, you're putting things into context and you're getting an appreciation. But sometimes you imagine you have a imagine you have an army and you're supposed to have horses, but instead you have some jack and you know that some donkey. Yeah? And hee haw, you can't bring the hee haw, even though don't get me wrong, if you watch Shrek, who also looks like Humpty Dumpty, um, Donkey had so much use because Donkey conquered the dragon who became his queen and they had children. Still trying to figure out how that worked, but that's another thing. Um, so we have to look at those things and then Maria said Bishop moves horizontally. The pawns are left wailing, moaning, and gnashing of teeth. But sometimes the pawn, if they get to the other side when nobody's looking, silent and deadly, they become queens. And sometimes you can have two queens, which is a ode or a recognition that a king, if you're like King Solomon and you get all the pawns to become queens, you have a bad army. I'm just putting, so we're using that and trying to put it in context, yeah? Um, so when we start to think about in the in putting it into perspective or seeing it from a different perspective in order to put it into context is to also try and appreciate, for lack of a better word, the importance or the significance of the Humpty Dumpty situation. Because identifying who are the king's horses as a part of his army and all the king's men, and in the modern disposition where the war is, they'll send out a whole lot of women, and women are at the forefront, especially in the culture, in the Jamaican space. When you look at the dynamics of work, when you look at some of the better paying jobs, when you look at that, the women are at the forefront. So certainly, when the king has his army, the women are doing what they're supposed to do. There is a movie, Viola Davis, How to Get Away with Murder. She played the woman king. A very interesting dynamic of woman power. In that type of movie, the warrior, the nature of the warrior. But what we learn from a simple thing like this is the ego. I'm putting it in there. The ego is Napoleon is one of those persons who remind me of Humpty Dumpty. The short man's complex is a very intriguing thing because if you if the wall is the very thing that is supposed to be the bedrock of your existence, it doesn't mean that you can't fall off. The thing is, if you are a phoenix and not a Humpty Dumpty, you will always rise from your ashes. So I don't think anybody should want to be an egg. I don't think that your ego should be so fragile that if it breaks, you're shattered and literally the pieces can never come together. So the analogy of the Humpty Dumpty in any situation is when somebody says or somebody makes the comparison or draws the analogy that in this situation, what we are dealing with, when it is shattered, it can't be put back together. Those who dare try to put it back is has gone on an impossible task. So if you break somebody's heart, you can unbreak it. So I don't know what Tony Braxton was singing. So if you see her, ask her why Babyface write that song for her, or Dion Warren, or whoever wrote that song and had her wailing and bawling out, but come unbreak my heart and say you love me again. Um, That is the key thing that somebody has to look at when they're talking about context matters. But again, some no you can, if you even how I look at it, let me give you my perspective. You see, even when you put on clothes on an egg, it's still an egg, you know. You put on clothes on an egg, it's still an egg. And when you're egg, and just because you're a big fat egg and you read books and you put on fancy clothes, you're still an egg. Even if you're a king and you're an egg, you're a fragile king. If you have a big job and you're just a big fat egg, you're just still a fat egg. Not fat shaming, but we're talking about an egg, a short, a round, fragile person. I think a fragile man that think you're big and bad, you're just that. You can't be anything else. Yeah. So in looking at that, you know, there are many dynamics of that particular situation. Um, that it is important that you pay attention to the identifying the characters of life, because sometimes Humpty Dumpty gets up in the morning and puts on the robe and the halo, and they go about the goodness of the people, and it's just for show. Just because you put on nice clothes, it doesn't mean you're still not a fragile egg. Just because you hold a high powered job doesn't mean you're still not just a fragile egg. And the best way, I promise you this, to know the true person, and why it's important to always show thyself and not hide behind, um with your fragile self. You hide behind the phone and use a text boss or a whatever keyboard menace, whatever it is to when you're able to look somebody in the eyes and you stare at them long enough, you realize how fragile they are and how unworthy they are of thinking or even conceiving greatness. And so when in life people are fragile and their egos are fat but fragile, so their egos are 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 Humpty Dumpty, and they find themselves in that space. When it is that you identify people like that, you look them directly in the eye and you stare at them and you look at them and you let them know that I see right through you. And I know that you're just a fragile, very, very fragile Humpty Dumpty. Yeah? Even behind the smile. We know you are, and you have your clothes, you put your clothes on, and you read your books, and you're bright, but you're fragile. Get it? Yeah, good. So in light of that, as I said, you identify who is the Humpty Dumpty. And if it falls off the wall, especially when you're always on the wall, you try to figure out what are the mechanisms put in place to protect that fall. So it's not just it's if you know that you're fragile and you know that you're an egg with clothes on, the preventative mechanisms have to be in place so you don't fall. Because when you fall, certainly in Jamaica right now, whoo, if you ever fall upon the ground at 1 o'clock, I fry, I got fry, I scramble like that. You get what I'm saying? That's how hot it is. So when you go in spaces that are hot, you can't be fragile because you will turn a boiled egg. But when you're a boiled egg, you're dead for human consumption. Um, so having identified that, or identify who you think Humpty Dumpty is, the next thing you're supposed to ask is who are the horses and who are the men and women that support the process of protecting you. And remember, we're still talking about the chessboard. Albeit it was raised in the context of r- rights, fairness, you know, while it raised there, we're talking about the basic situation so that as people enjoy the vicissitudes of life, yeah, the finer things of life, they are not misguided. And remember, at the end of the day, when people are stripped bare and they don't require the material things, that there are no cracks in their armor, because that is what is important. So for me, I will say we are in a space where, as a young nation, Jamaica, we've reached an impasse where even the least among us is aware that we are to protect our egos, and our egos is our human dignity. So, in any space that we find ourselves where people try to rob us of that, and this has nothing to do with um, anything but yourself and ensuring that you are not an egg and you are not so fragile that you can be shattered and can never be put back together again. That is why I raise this and to speak about it, because there may be people in your life that are not horses at all. They may just be jackasses. And just because they are in the army when they were not supposed to be in the army, it still don't make them a horse. But they say if you walk like a duck and you talk like a duck and you quack like a duck, then you're a duck. But I can tell you, you go to a Chinese restaurant and you don't order the duck, you just might get, but that's another thing. Um, but at the same time, while we're saying that, and I could say it could be on some must have corn foul. Foul. Yeah, clock, clock, clock. But the thing I'm saying is, you when you bring it down to the bare minimum, you have to smile about these things, because we are now in a world where, listen to me, the eyes are the windows to the soul, and nothing can change that. So big up Bounty Kill him, say, look into my eyes, tell me what you see, and I'm your enemy. Well, yeah, I look into the eyes of my enemies all the time. And all I see is Humpty Dumpty, fragile and weak. Yeah. And the importance of that is to appreciate, that you must never, so putting it in context, you must never allow people who, after they shatter you, because you are fragile, to put you back together. So if you're a woman and you're in a relationship, you don't make a man beat you, and then because him have a credit card and the limit can get you Birkin bags, 6 of them or 10 of them. I don't remember what it was. Um, that is enough. And so you stay in the relationship. Or if you are a woman and you were raped or violated, you shouldn't wait until other women experience that. The importance of freedom of expression, that's what I'm getting at now, is that let nobody let your voice not be heard. Let nobody prevent you from speaking up against anything. Because if you allow it to happen one time, it will happen another time. People will tell their friends, and people will allow the abuse, and the abuse will escalate. And they'll and yeah, there is, and I can tell you this, I think mental assault sometimes is worse than the physical one. And so somebody can During slavery, they could enslave the body, but they could not take the minds of some of the people who now became our national heroes pre-slave, as in during slavery, and why we came out of slavery is because of them. And that's why they always say the revolution will not be televised. And when change is and is coming is because people recognize, even in your fragility, that when you shatter me, you will never get the opportunity to fix me, to break me again. That's really what it is, you know. And so if you value yourself and you love yourself, and I can tell you, because the dynamics is weird. You see, an older man is older now, so he can't compete in the free and democratic market against young boy. But in pocket whole heap. And so young girl, she needs money. She comes together and the relationship appears to be one that works. But youthful exuberance is wasted on the youth. So if you're prepared for be the sugar daddy and get your boobs out and those things don't matter, yeah, you can have a baby by them, become a millionaire and all of these things, but the dynamics is true. So you must know what you take out of the reverse abuse that come. And I'm not saying people will always have conditional love. Because if I'm a billionaire, of course, if I'm a billionaire and I'm 90, I can get any woman that I want that love money. It's the money. And since my money is never gonna run out, the love is gonna always be there because that person is a slave to my what I provide. That in that situation, as the person, as the provider, you are the Humpty Dumpty. And if you allow the situation to shatter you, you too can be emotionally damaged and the power struggle is shift because you become a victim to your insecurities and your fragilities because at the end of the day, you're nothing more than the materialistic things that you can provide. Because you know, something that you must know about what my assessment of the Humpty Dumpty story is that a king is no king if he doesn't have a kingdom. So if you can't go on a wall and exalt yourself without falling off and shattering and impossible for you to get back. Hey, look at me, chicken little, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And you don't get the opportunity to experience that. It's a natural process that follows that um somebody is really calling me. It must be important. The lines aren't open yet. Anyway, that being said, yeah, it must be a serious process that you have in terms of appreciating that. But similarly, the same thing. A woman who gives her all um to a man and he has his side woman. And sometimes you're running an empire. So you have a store and the side woman is the cashier and it's a mom and pop business and you're running the mom and pop business, but you're also sleeping with the cashier and the wife knows and she doesn't leave because she's faithful to you, but you've broken her heart and whatever. And then that's the dynamics in terms of how you can put yourself into situations and become Humpty Dumpty and you lose what it is sometimes yourself in that space. um I'm not even reading those comments. So education, we need more education and streetwise. That's Juliet. That's Juliet's comments. And I'm reading them, I'm seeing them. Yes. Big up yourself, all who is saying what. We're almost at the top of the hour, but the true things. I'm looking in the comments and I'm gonna open the lines because I want to know for you, how do you perceive Humpty Dumpty? Who are the king's horses and who are the king's men and women? And for me, I'm excuse me, I am trying to put into context that sometimes, especially if you go on a chessboard, if the pieces aren't who they are supposed to be, problems can happen. Problems. And so the disguise, the angel in disguise can be problematic for people. And it is in that vein that sometimes things in your life can always be memorable. And when you find the thing that is memorable, you try to ensure that whatever it is, it becomes a staple. Because naturally, if you're on the wall and you're being exposed, don't drop off, don't become fragile. And if people are on the wall and you are responsible for ensuring that even as you abuse them, you don't shatter them. That is the key. The preventative mechanisms when with human interactions generally, that you don't shatter people's egos, you don't break people unless you come across people like me who is unbreakable. So that's the thing. But as we go into the break, one thing I can tell you: if you don't have headlights on your car, but you're driving in the day, you have to be like Cinderella and reach home before night come. Otherwise, you're going to have problems and you're going to breach of the law. But not to worry, because all you can do, you just have to do this.
Night have come. Look here, keep we are so night.
Shut up, Lexi. Play it back. I love this so much.
Night have come. Look here, keep we are so night.
Yeah, so that being said, that's where we are in terms of the Humpty Dumpty. And that's it. The beautiful thing about life is, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, it's something given to us without knowing we are to receive it. So we have to make the best of it. Because I can tell you this: always remember, in everything that you see, it could be you. You see, once you know that it could be you, you will, when you are in the position to prevent things from happening to people, you are to do your best, because one day it could be you. So if you're a landlord and you're renting your place, it must be in a condition where you would live in that place, because you never know, life might change and you have to live in that space. So if you allow builders to build for you, and there is a story like that, a rich man told a builder to build the house, and the man shot the cement, the man buy the cheapest tile, the man buy the worst, smallest toilet, everything. And when the house complete, the master says, "I'm so proud of you. Here are the keys. This house is yours." And so if you don't do things to the best of your ability and put your best into it, you may never know it's for you. So don't bruise people's egos and don't shatter. And if you're going to be the king's horse, don't be a jackass that end up with a saddle. If you're going to be the men and women who have their duties, don't be like the disciples of Jesus. Don't be a Judas. Don't be a Peter. Don't be a Tom. Because you see, the doubting Toms, they're the worst. Better to be a Peter and deny, and maybe even a Judas and talk, because then you'd have done your duties. But it's the doubting ones that will be problematic. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to be right back. Context matters.
It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try.
Yeah, so while Reggae Global Radio continues to go through their 5 minutes break, we just have to continue to do this. Let me tell you something. I'll give you a small, just a snippet during the 5 minute break. So this is a gem. You cannot. Destiny is unstoppable. It's almost like a runaway train. So you see in every ghetto youth, every lane, you just pray if it fall like rain. Because once it is that you can't even rule your destiny. Forget what Bushy Banton told you. What is for you has to be for you. And for those reasons, it's almost never. You just never have to worry because the truth is, God on time is a huge intervener in every situation. Why am I saying this? Well, when Noah was building him ark, everybody laughed at him. And the doubting Toms came out before Thomas became a disciple of Jesus. His ancestors were doubting people way before him. One of the things is it's not that even Jesus himself never doubted himself, because if you look into the garden, um, he had his doubts and he says, Father, take this away from me, because he knew he didn't want to face it, but he had to face his destiny. And although he died, he lives forever. If we and we're putting it in context, because there are probably people saying, yeah, you talk about Jesus, but Jesus is just like Humpty Dumpty. It's a nursery rhyme or whatever. The thing about it is you appreciate the importance of walking into your destiny, drowning out the noise. The people who are trying to prevent you from getting to your destiny, they will do anything at any expense because their destiny is so wrapped up into yours that they become like Pharaoh, who, as the king, found himself dead to ensure that he didn't do that which Moses said, because Moses said, Pharaoh, let my people go. And his heart was hardened till he lost his son and he lost his generation and he lost his kingdom to out of being stubborn, and he became Humpty Dumpty. And what he lost, they couldn't put back together, and Moses still walk out, albeit never make it to the promised land because Moses was a murderer from them back a time there. You see what I say? But point is that those things are important to appreciate in the smallest ways. But there will be some spaces sometimes where you find that you can't, for lack of a better word, you can't change the things that will happen. And so that's why you have to be able to accept the things that you can't change the things that you can, and then have the wisdom. You will have the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Then also those people who are the spectators, all they are put on earth to spectate and nothing more. And so in a movie, this exercise that we're talking about, still talking about Humpty Dumpty, is to identify the characters. Because if I am on a wall and every day I need people, um, once you look at it and you identify who is who, life is so much easier to navigate and process. And that is it all the time. Process. And so the ability to do several things at one time, several things, no matter what is happening, people cannot appreciate the ability to do several things in 24 hours. I can tell you a story. There are people whom right now 40 years have passed. So if anybody wondered how Moses stayed wondered in the wilderness for 40 years, just take a trip down any lane in Jamaica, and there's one person who rub out them hand middle from you was about 6, and now you're 66 and them still a rub out them hand middle. And that person who used to pass is probably now calling your father. What I'm father? Is a big person who allowed life to pass them by. So 40 years, the wilderness, in whatever wilderness. Chevy says, Isaac, do you think we have any control in whatever choice we make? That's a good, I've had that conversation before, right here on this show, about destiny, free will and fatalism, and the difference between fate, the difference between destiny and free will. Do we have free will? I don't think so. I think life is situation, ethics, and that we are free to the extent of the situations that we're placed in. So if you are in Jamaica and you're stuck in Jamaica and you don't have a visa, and you can't go nowhere because you probably don't have a passport either, and you don't know how to go about getting those things. The environment that you are in, you're stuck in that environment because you like Plato's cave. You haven't done the things you need to do to get out, and so you stay in that environment, and you may even become king of that environment, and then the government may very well just call you a don and then kill you one day. Not the government kill you, but you die one day because you're labeled as the Don. And so you find yourself in a shootout and you're dead. I don't know. But that's because you haven't been put in an environment to expand yourself. That's why education is so important. And that's why investing in education in any way possible will be a life-changing experience for you. And it's an individual process that the improvement makes a difference for your existence. Whether or not the government is to contribute to it, whether or not GCT should be increased by 1% just to facilitate educating the people is another matter. Whether or not people think that because the GCT isn't raised, is better for them, while at the same time, while you're making your way downtown and driving fast, breaking stoplights and homebound, police stop out and give you a ticket and say them rate you anyway, but they give you the ticket, and the ticket is so expensive that you want to say, you feel like you want to just stop the world and war with the world. But everybody have to do them job. So, like I say, police have to write your tickets. You have to just take the ticket, and if you don't deserve the ticket, challenge it in traffic court. Lexi told me just this week. If you want to know who Lexi is, she's always there. She's here on Context Matters. Alessandra Labiche. She told me, because I got a ticket this week, and she says to me, don't worry about that ticket. All you need is once you have a lawyer, you'll be fine. And I said, I can appreciate that because it feels like in my life, I always need a lawyer. But she was so serious giving me legal advice. And it dawned on me, I'm the guy, I'm the chat too much boss that I do law, but not really that they say I'm not a lawyer. You know that kind of way there? It's hilarious. But she looked me dead in the face and she gave me free advice and she never charged me. So big up yourself. Delight one said, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Well, ignorance is cheap, it's almost like a box of, it's like what them call it, meal deal, 2 piece of chicken. Ignorance don't even reach the creme de la creme of KFC. I assure you. Like when you're at 6 pieces of barbecue chicken, um, you've transcended ignorance. You've transcended the stupidity. Because I don't know how somebody can go to KFC and just get 2 pieces of chicken. You gotta be ignorant. You gotta just be fool. I just don't know how to process that in my mind. So once again, I put things in context. 2 pieces of chicken is Humpty Dumpty. Your ego fragile. Yeah? You can't fool your belly with that. Or you get, you must, you're not on a substance. There's a weak, jellyback, hungry belly individual to go to KFC and buy 2 pieces of chicken. Eh? And so it's the person who asked me about free will and choices. What kind of choice if I have? If KFC have barbecue original and spicy and you only get 2 pieces of chicken, where is the choice when you can't pick all three of them? So no, free will or choices is in constraints. If it's financial constraints, you will never know the enjoyment of 6 pieces of chicken to sit up when you reach the 5-1, but say you nah make it waste. You put your foot down one way, you stretch like this for make sure it's a 6 piece. You not leave it in a car, now gonna taste good the next day. And you fix yourself, and once you fix, you just find the space. And you just, yeah. And then you just really Humpty Dumpty, and then you just sat. I sat on a wall. I don't have great falls, so don't worry about me. But anyway, yes, Fire, a lawyer who need a lawyer, you know how it go. And he says, I'm your lawyer. So I'm gonna assume say Fire is a lawyer, but not the thing. But yeah, you get it. But context matters. I'm just saying, so we always must try to fit things in our knowledge and then make it make sense. So yeah, education education starts at the 6 piece. No, that education starts at the 3 piece. At least you have the choice for 3, and it's the meal. But tertiary education is like the big 6. And to know that in life you have the bucket of the 21 piece and the thing and y'all are party size, so you can get very bougie with it. And no, I'm not off track, I promise you this, but to give you some semblance and some understanding of what it is that you ought to be looking for when you're putting when you're putting things together. Of course, ignorance is expensive, especially generational ignorance. There is a culture, like I said it, bougie with KFC. If you can't be bougie with KFC, you really can't have a conversation with me. Because I promise you, I filet mignon. There's nothing more exquisite and exotic and 5-star restaurant type of thing. Knife and fork and put napkin and thing and sort it out. Anyway, gourmet style. Yeah. Anyway, the importance of finding balance is where we're at. Somebody said about context matter. Judge said, no, brother, no context matter in my court. No, the judge actually said context is king. So that's why you actually need education, because you cannot interpret when people are talking. So sometimes when people talk above your head, you then go behind a keyboard and you start to speak like you do have no sense. And I do believe that context is king. And you know why context is king? Because context matters. But if you're ignorant, you're still at the 2-piece level and you won't really appreciate that. So anyway, moving on from that, I'm going to open the phone lines because I really want to get your idea. I want to get your idea and thoughts of the Humpty Dumpty dilemma, a resurrection of nursery rhymes. And remember, it's not only that, the nursery rhymes also have some historical things in it. And we in Jamaica who we had cut out civics. How many of you knew that Nanny was a superwoman? The only other person, like I say, you see the woman king, you have an idea of Nanny. But if you ever put Nanny in the where Wonder Woman is with her lasso and all of those things, you would realize that Nanny was a superhero. They say she used to catch bullets with her derriere, so you know how powerful she. But that's for folklore or whatever. Um, why am I raising that? Well, I raise it so that people can appreciate and people can understand the importance of the nursery rhymes. And I'm going to open the phone lines because I also want people to use the situation and apply what John Clark has done is to use nursery rhymes, a literary tool, in I will respectfully say, to give educate the public or to put it in a language that we are familiar with complex issues, historical moments captured through nursery rhymes, things that are not the analogy of it, um, and why literary tools are important and why education is important. Some say all the king horses and all the king's men and women. Yes, somebody says, who created Humpty Dumpty in the first place? If you were early for this context matters, you would have heard it and you'd have known it. So that is key. Somebody said him not even a answer the text them. I'm not answering the text because you're not asking me anything in relation to the Humpty Dumpty dilemma. And I want, when I open the phone lines, I really want you to identify where you fit in the in life as in the Humpty Dumpty story. Are you Humpty Dumpty? Are you the horse or are you the jackass? Are you the men and women who are to prevent the shattering of a king or queen? Are on the chessboard, where do you fall? Are you the pawn with the potential to be the baddest piece on the board of your choice? Or are you so Captain J say I am king. So if you're Humpty Dumpty, when you fall off the wall from your ego as it is shattered, do you resurrect like the phoenix because you're not an egg? Or when you fall on your feet like cats, like lions, That's what it is. So let me open the phone lines and we have that conversation. Yeah. What say you? So the phone lines are now open and we wait to have that conversation. Get me, get me. Wow. Yeah, so one of the things that I also noticed that I need to also share with you guys is the when the clickbait is a very interesting concept in the social media driven society, and that's really where we are now. Also, the social media driven society would have literally placed or put people on notice, that things happen in real time, information is put out in real time, and where you get your information has influenced your mind, has put you in excuse me, situations where it becomes your culture. Cinnamon, how you doing?
Not to be Humpty Dumpty.
You're
Because remember, at the end of that tale, it said no one could put Humpty Dumpty together again. And I know I went through a process in my life where I thought that I could not make it,
mm-hmm.
and things happen where I am today. I never give up, and where I am today, it amazes me. So I don't consider myself Humpty Dumpty.
But Cinnamon, I can ask you something.
Go ahead.
You sound just like A Marie. You're A Marie? Talk the truth.
No.
I swear you was gonna come out here and say, Nico, you mash up my life. I just chuckling. But
folks said that.
okay, I really thought you. I was like, hey Marie, why you trolling me? But yeah, I tell you, I like the fact that you identify yourself as Humpty Dumpty. No,
I don't.
You say you don't.
Humpty Dumpty. Mm-hmm.
All right, tell me. So you're saying, but you are the king of your story, though.
That's right.
But you're just not an egg.
Remember the end of Humpty Dumpty rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
No one could put Humpty Dumpty together again. You forget that?
Yes, I know that.
Okay. When my life was put back together.
Oh, so that's why you know that you're not Humpty Dumpty. But then the question I should be asking you is this: did you put yourself together, or you didn't fall apart?
Answering that, I would say, at a moment I was about to fall apart.
Mm.
And then I caught myself and remember who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And once I remember who I am and who my grandparents were, I realized that I'm a fighter.
Mm-hmm. All right,
because of that strength. Yeah.
I love that, and I'm gonna tell you why I love that, and why this is important. Because the most important thing, and I'm getting this from you, is that you have to prevent the fall.
That's exactly.
Because once it is shattered, it really can't be put back together.
Put back together again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like some folks, they give up and they go and crack, and they never come back.
So before you go with the story, who would have been the horses and who would have been the men and women in your life, in your situation?
My mom,
mm-hmm.
and my children.
Beautiful. I want to thank you for your call. I know if you were A Marie, I'd ask you as the queen of that song, how you doing? But no. Okay, all right, Cinnamon, take care. Beautiful call. Thanks for your call, Cinnamon. I like that. In the story, the takeaway is to simply not fall. But in a situation ethics, if you really are fragile, your supporting cast is supposed to prevent you. So even when put into situations where you are helpless, and I want to give you this interpretation. When people are sick, they go to doctor for treatment. That doesn't exclude bush doctor. And to put in proper context, knowledge is power. So I know everybody, if you're from the Caribbean, not gonna limit it to Jamaica and you're sick, everything fix. If your elbow hurts, them say a gas, and if you drink like a tea, ginger tea, and belch it off. But because knowledge is power and preventative mechanisms is what is important, I'm putting this in. I'm I'm putting this in context for you. If you're a man and you're over 40, you're exposed to prostate cancer. It's important for you to get checked every year to ensure that you are not going to become a victim of prostate cancer, because those things don't kill you. If you are sick, you need to know what is wrong with you so that you don't die from whatever your illness is. Um, like I said, life is short, so it's important to have a knowledge. So having identified the knowledge and even identify what it is, health is wealth. Persons shouldn't have the opportunity to play with your life and to minimize your suffering. There's nothing that somebody can say to minimize your suffering, especially when you've done all you can in your capacity to identify what it is. It's the same thing. Never suffer in silence and always speak out. Do not allow yourself, notwithstanding, even if you're in a helpless situation financially, even where it's financially, your human dignity is so important that you shouldn't. I promise you, if you are wise, you won't become a victim of those who can take advantage of you, because you never know where you're gonna be 10 years from now. So the things you do in your past can come back and haunt you, because you fail to have your internal locus of control, and to practice your integrity and find your self-worth. So if it is that somebody kidnap you, they have to feed you. Because if they don't feed you, you're going to be hungry. And when you get hungry, you can get sick and then you can die. And then you would be Humpty Dumpty, because then you would be fragile. But similarly, if you become ill, or you break your legs and you live on the 16th floor and the elevator don't work, somebody's going to have to carry you up there. And so if you don't have the supporting cast, which is the king horses and the king men and women, and you know who they are, and the loyalty that comes with that, the ability to also have value. It's not just loyalty, so it's not just people saying, "Oh, me there for you." Right, true, 100. No, you must have some substance and some capacity. You must bring something to the table, quid pro quo, or something like that. Um, Once you're able to identify that and be able to process that, you'll be put in a much better position to prevent the cracking, the breaking of your armor, which is a shell. The irony, though, is the egg, if nurtured, can become a chicken. And if you become a chicken, you make your way to KFC and you survive long enough so they can cook you and cut you up and put you in a box for consumption. So it's kind of like water. Water, when boiled, is hot. It can burn you and damage you. But the same egg that is Humpty Dumpty that we're talking about, and you see how Starlink moving like it won't embarrass me? Tell you, you know. thing that I'm trying to say. Somebody said wow, so I don't know what's the last thing I said. Why you said wow, but um, that's the point I was pretty much trying to make. Yeah, YouTube. Sorry about that. It happens every week apparently. So that technical issue. Without Kevin, I don't think I'm gonna be able to fix it. And Kevin has not done. Kevin, where you there? Yeah. Anyway, so the thing about water now, um, and water is life. Now here's the trick about it: the fragile ego that is Humpty Dumpty is the water. No, is the egg. The egg, when put into the water, boiling water, becomes um hardened after it is boiled. And that same shell that we're talking about that you can't put back together, it don't mean anything because you're a hard boiled egg. And although capable of human consumption, you didn't shatter that which is inside of you. Was no more. So sometimes the shell you can get out of your shell and just be a hard boiled egg. But the irony is a hard potato that's so hard you put it in hot water long enough, it boil out and it becomes soft and then it becomes mashed potato. Both of them. Um, in some form or another finds its way on the KFC menu. That's all I'm saying in terms of that. But once you have that appreciation, and again, I want to hear from other persons. The line is still open, and I just want to hear your thoughts on this matter because it's ironic that it has been a number of years that I haven't thought about nursery rhymes and its value. From Mary Had a Little Lamb to London Bridge, all of these nursery rhymes, Baba, Black Sheep, Little Miss Muppet, all of them had some meaning to it, and usually is about interaction with humanity, deception, lies, deceit, um goodness, all of these things that makes up the dynamics of life, how to process and how to deal with human beings who otherwise it appears to be the mission of people in life to tear you down. And then, yeah, see, somebody just said it. Is it ting-a-ling-a-lings? No, no, that's a shabarangs. But the hey little diddle, the cat on the fiddle, the cow jump over the moon, the little dog laugh to see such thing, and the dish run away with the spoon. When you break that down, I don't know if I said it right, but when you break that down, it was all that story about to me, it was about drama and cheating and the things that would happen. So that became Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives. Hello, good day.
Yeah, good day, sir.
Yes.
You know,
You want to tell me your name, and then and if you're talking about Humpty Dumpty, then that's the interest of the call or purpose of the call.
yeah. Because I'm watching the
Yeah, man, talk to me.
Ricardo.
All right, Ricardo, big up yourself. Talk to me.
From Chilani.
Mm-hmm.
When I always like since recently you're watching TikTok, right? And you always see them post like some cartoons and you would have said this are based off of fiction. But first time when you was a little youth or you say a child, then, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was so funny because everything you see, you laugh, and take it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
like you understand, like your mother would have say, "Cow jump over moon."
Yes.
Me a little boy know me believe his story say cow, but how can the big cow go over the moon?
Well, no, I can't answer that. I can't answer that. No, can you imagine? No, you are work and you gone at your good work, and your woman there yard, and she decides that she gonna bring in this big man. You forget your lunchbox and you come back and you hear little cat dog. You hear the little dog laugh and see such thing because when you bust that door, no matter what size that, no matter what it is, The way how then jump out of the window and run down the road is way over the moon. Them gone, and that's what that's what those nursery rhymes used to do. It's the same way. Ring a rosy, your pocket full of rosy ashes, asher we all fall down. So one wonders, but that's why it's laughing because there are hidden messages. Um, there, I've heard so much things about the Crazy Jim song. Um, a lot of hidden messages. One of the things I had a conversation today, it was from a meme, like you said about TikTok. Instagram is one of those places as well. Iqbal Chevalier, I'm calling his name more than he's an attorney that works closely with me. He showed a picture today and it was about Pam and I think it's Junior. I don't remember them name, but the two of them were on the book, the children's book. And it is like it would say Pam goes to work. Pam is a girl. And I guess let's just say Jim. Jim is a boy. They both go to school. Somebody on TikTok or Instagram says, like Jim work a call center and Pam turn lawyer. And these are just characters that I remember. And then I remember there was a book called The Fat Girl and the Mango. I don't think the fat girl is related to Humpty Dumpty, but back in the day, they would say things that it would seem what you could never. I just said it right now, and if somebody just take this part of it, it would sound like I'm fat shaming somebody. But they Pam and Roy, yeah, see it. And somebody said Pam is a lawyer and Roy work a call center. Roy and Pam, so they knew. So that was the book. But the same thing, the fat girl and the mango, and that was just the end of that. So no, now today you said the fat girl and the mango, people gonna think you're talking about Lizzo and your fat shaming and all of that. But if you know anything about East Indian mango this time of year, you might be a fat whatever man, woman, whatever when you climb wall for take people mango. Not that I'm encouraging perennial larceny or anything like that. Yeah, so we put things in the context, and even though I would say if you go and watch some of the movies that you are watching when you're young, it has a complete different meaning, and that's just it. But for you now, because I didn't want to talk, I'm not depriving you of sharing your story. Where are you in the character of Humpty Dumpty?
All right. So in the character of Humpty Dumpty, I've been through a lot in my life. Most of my downfall are with people who I trust. You understand? And they feel
Mm-hmm.
backstab. You understand? You get it. So the part with Humpty Dumpty now is not was the part I break, because I was Humpty Dumpty at the one point. As in you make people you abuse you, and them know say that no right, and you have your rights, but yet still you try to cover it up to try and make it look like oh no nothing man.
Mm-hmm.
I reached to a point where me have to end the story and then cut off everybody with opinion will concern me. So I become
Okay.
the king.
So you become the king, but so then tell me, did you fall?
Yes, I did fall because I waste time of my time on them, and them not the one that pushing me. They're the one that break me.
Oh, so they took from you and they didn't build you up. So you just show me something. So the question is, did you break? And if you break, did you put yourself back together?
Yes, I break, but when you put yourself back together, it's not gonna be as good as when you're not being break. You understand? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
a mental issue where you still think about what people did you. So there's no way you're gonna be 100%. You understand? But when you try to be cool, as in to fun off people when they come at you hard, then they go say, yeah, they behave like say, no respect, no moral, and no sympathy. But as soon as you give them the open space, that's why I say, all right, so just like me like for your reason, me like to use just like context matters, right?
Yes.
If you give a person a wide space to square a ball and give the next man the space to kick in at the goal. What the outcome of it will be? It's a goal.
Yes.
It's automatically a goal. It don't really matter if the man run past you fast enough or what. It's a goal. yeah. You understand?
Yes, yes.
So you give people space and make them do things to you, them will always win. And if you don't try to fight back when you see that at the same time, you will not be lucky like some people that put themselves back together. Because there are a lot of people that fall and break and they never pick up back. Maybe to say them try. That's why enough people, why you think you have more madman than mad woman?
Wow, so you're saying it's the man name of the fragile one. So the ego is really the man is the ego and the woman is the id. I got you. I got
A
you.
woman right now, she bring her foot, say, pick the maintenance, right? You feel like she go and put that, if you can pay this, you pay that, and me not pressure him. He bring a go for broke your neck. Jamaican term.
Yeah.
You pop, put and pop, and she don't give a damn who the hell you be. Anyway, you have to find you bring it home. So, if there's a case where you have an upper hand over she, do not let her go. You put her down just as though she have put you down. Because you got sympathy, she wasn't sympathy. You understand?
Yes.
It's the same thing with law, right? If you in court and you see where somebody was pressuring you and you find the upper hand where you put him down, you put him down in the case, close the argument, everybody go home and everybody go home happy. Well, at least you see the weakness, you use the weakness, then you complete your mission.
Wow.
And that's all my take. I'm gonna go back.
All right, very very interesting. I like that. But Kevin say where y'all talk about because every woman mad after 6 o'clock. I just when Marty come. But don't even answer that. You know, Kevin always a trouble people. But have a good day, Kevin. You one alone. I call woman mad. I gotta deal with that. Take care, Ricardo. Blessings. All right. Yeah, that is a very interesting. That's an interesting one. Used as a metaphor. My gosh. Well, yeah. That's the idea. KD vibes. It is the idea. But next to that is the so the next to that is the idea of the takeaways now. I don't want the time to run out. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king horses and all the king men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Find out if you're the Humpty Dumpty. Find out if you are cracked or broken or shattered. Because if you can't be put back together, then it means that your fragility has taken the best of you and you'll never be the same again. And where in your life can you make a difference? Hello, good day, caller. You're on Context Matters.
Yes, good night, good evening. My name is Tamay. I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Wow, Tamay from Pennsylvania. How are you? Talk to us.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. You have a comment on the Humpty Dumpty nursery rhyme?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead. Let me hear your take. The floor is yours.
Okay. So my take is I look at it like Humpty Dumpty. For me, I think Humpty Dumpty represents a person and where they are in their life. Where you could be sitting on top, or you could be just going through something. And I think when Humpty Dumpty fall, I think it's where life takes you, because in life you don't know where you will be. Life takes you down different roads. And you may stumble, you may fall, but I think it's up to you what you take out of life and how you respond to your situations. So I think in the part where it says all the kings defeat all the king's men,
yes,
I think that refers to other people around you and just people in general trying to tell you what to do, trying to give you advice, trying to steer you in a different way. But it's up to you to take substance from what people are telling you, because people can try to lead you somewhere.
Right.
If you don't want change will never happen. So the king's man is trying to put Humpty Dumpty to bed together again, just like a person, but it's that person to stand strong and said, okay, I may have gone through this, I may have fallen, but that doesn't mean that life can't become better, because people can try to determine how your life will be. Mm-hmm. But you can make a difference in your life by changing, because we grow every day. Who I was 10 years ago, I'm not that person today. You understand? Because so I think that's what it refers to. And yeah, I mean, that's my take on it.
No, that's no, that's a very interesting concept. Before you go, I want to share something to you. In applying or analyzing an application of the Humpty Dumpty concept is any situation, the wall represents the foundation, the bedrock, the protection. If you know the story about the three little pigs, you know that it is the brick house that saved them from the wolf. Now, that wall has to, if you're thinking about law, whatever justice looks like, the protection that comes from it, the wall represents justice. The players and actors would be the king's horses and king's men. Doesn't mean that justice is king. It means that justice is the protection. So the wall, the foundation that you're on, the very thing that you build, you may fall from grace. When one falls from grace, the true thing is the people around you, if it's your family, if it's your loved ones, then they'll still, even though they do their best to put you back, there is some personal duty that you have. And so when found in a place where people have broken you and shattered you, they should cease and desist and refrain from continuing to do the worst. Don't even take you up on crazy glue you. Give you the space to heal, give you the space to be whole again. It's not a duty or a situation that anybody else can do. And so that's really my take on it, in terms of preventing yourself from being broken is more important than even being broken and trying to fix yourself.
Yeah, that's true, but you can prevent yourself from being broken, because things happen in life. You understand?
Boy, let me tell you.
You're growing. Every day is a different day. And yes, you can try to prevent yourself from being broken, and you can break. But if you don't, you ever hear them say you fall? You only fail if you never get up.
Right, but that's why I'm saying that. But if you get up, it means you're not broken. That's the important thing.
You're broken emotionally. You can be broken emotionally, but then you're not broken in your steadfastness. You can be a strong person, a strong-willed person, and emotionally, you're broken for a period of time. But if you're a strong person, you will find the willpower inside of you to trot along. You understand? Because everything is, remember, so life throws everything at you. It is your will to make it and to make a difference that can put you back together again, right? Yes.
Yeah, so I like how you said that, because when life throws things out there, let's say like when life give you lemons, you better cut it and put it under your arm so your arm not smell bad. Both you make lemonade from it, and you don't know where the sugar come from. But anyway, caller, thank you so much for calling, and I hope I hear from you again. All right. Yeah, man. Blessings. Yeah. So that's an interesting concept. But context matters. So you see, in the political climate, the space that is Jamaica, because I can never end the show without going there, Humpty Dumpty is what it is, the king. And if you take out the chessboard and you apply Humpty Dumpty to Jamaica, there are two kings on the board. One in this situation would be Mark, and the other would be Andrew. It would mean that the supporting cast is the king's horses and the king's men. In this situation, it's very easy to identify the queen, because the queen on the green side would be the speaker of the house, and the queen on the orange side would be Mrs. Golden. Now, when one looks at this, the players and the actors and the things that they do, they can either build you up or tear you down. So a prime minister with a cabinet of 6 unknown corruptionists makes one wonders if he is one and who else, or if he knows. But it sheds or casts a bad light on all the good that he would have done because people only recognize the bad. Similarly, ad hominem would be a place where you have to attack the person in order to take them down off the wall. So the issue of dual citizenship when it comes to the leader of opposition is raised because there are no other things that you can throw at him to break him off the wall, to try to shatter him. The supporting cast, who would be the kings, the horses, and the men and women, they too have a duty to ensure that they're not doing anything to bring him down. And so when the pull down starts, because life is really a barrel and crabs and the wall is not really there, one wonders, in a game of chess, one king has to fall. And your supporting cast is what prevents you from the fall. The thing about it is, if you fall, did you break? Did you shatter? Were you so fragile that you can't recover from the ad hominem attacks that flows? When in the social space, as I make this conversation and put things into context, how easily is it to influence, to mislead, to misguide? All that is necessary when one starts to think about it. But a systematic problem is one where the system shatters its citizens, and notwithstanding find forms or provides no protection or no remedy for the shattering in any form. Because as I said, when it comes to those who represent you on the board, just remember that in the game of chess, as a citizen of the country, you're not on the board. You're not even a pawn. And when it comes to governance, all you can do is watch. That in and of itself is important. Now, when you think of the outcomes in an election, when there's an election and that battle starts, the one who becomes victorious is the one with the king's horses and men and horses and all the king's men that would have done all that is necessary to ensure that they're victorious, but the loser is out, all is shattered in that context. So I'm just using that as a framework because we'll be using that moving forward as we assess the way that we go. All right. Tell me, good day, caller. Hello.
Hi, Isaac. Kesu here. How are you?
Oh, how you doing, Kesu? I'm here, you are the last caller for the day and we're wrapping up. So talk to me. Yes.
Yeah, Humpty Dumpty thing. It makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking to me that Humpty Dumpty, when looking at it from the part where he had a great fall and that he couldn't be put back together again, is the fact that I don't think intentionally we're supposed to be put back together like how we were after a fall.
Mm-hmm.
We can never be put back together again after a fall. The question is, what do we do after the fall, in a sense, and how do we recover in making ourselves new, kind of, with the scars of the fall?
Right.
Does that make sense? Because I think that with every hurt, with every pain, with every trauma, it's like you experiencing death.
Mm-hmm.
People think that you get over it or you get past it, but you never do. You just learn to live with it. the scars of it are different. So Humpty Dumpty having a fall, we're all Humpty Dumpties. None of us are exempt from being Humpty Dumpty. It's just a matter of what kind of fall or trauma we have experienced and how we have learned to live with it and not necessarily overcome it. Because people think that when we overcome things, we're supposed to forget about the scars or the process of what got us to get past it or how to live with it.
Right.
And I think thinking that we're forgetting what we do or forgetting that past or that trauma sometimes open us up back to experiencing that trauma again from somebody else because we kind of forget what we experienced with that person. So Humpty Dumpty, in a sense, we're all Humpty Dumpty. We've all had experiences, but we've all learned to live with it in such a way where it's supposed to teach us in such a way. It's not supposed to necessarily heal where you don't see the scars because you will forget.
That's a Kesu, that's so beautiful. That's a conversation I think we're gonna have to continue because I think I depart from you in that everybody is Humpty Dumpty.
Yes.
But what I will say is that you have made the most powerful argument for the process when you are shattered is that they cannot put the pieces back together. It's impossible because you'll never be the same. Even if you put it back together, that which is inside cannot be put inside, and then the shell protects the very thing that was inside. The thing about the fall is that if you fall when you had developed enough to be a chicken, all that would happen is that you'd hatch out of the egg, and you'd be okay anyway, and yeah, and you could make your way to KFC. But yeah, you know what to do. But anyway, outside, huh? Yeah. So no, and so the last thing I want to share where that is concerned is that it should be inconceivable in such a small analogy, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say and just leave it there, for somebody to think that they should be able to glue you up back so they can do their very best to destroy you. And in the process, it's okay for you to wait so they can learn and get an opportunity to destroy you again.
Yep.
You see, the wickedness of man is the problem in the Jamaican space. But I can tell you this, that when I say God time, is because
and that's why we don't forget.
yeah, that is why we don't forget. But if nothing, I learned this week that context matters because context is king. And so no conversation that takes place that is not put in the proper context can have any value to whether those who are educated or those who are uneducated, until we learn how to communicate with each other. We'll miss the gems and we will, in fact, all be Humpty Dumpty. Casey, I want to thank you so much for calling because it's time for me to end the show. We're right at the hour. All right? All right. Take care. All right. So just saying to everybody, Reggae Global Radio, TikTok, YouTube, yeah, context matters because you matter. And when you know that you matter, you'll know other people matter. We all matter. And yeah, for this time, as I process it, context is king. But context is only king because context matters. So see you next week. I have some very exciting conversation next week. Now I'll tell you what it is, but take it easy. Yeah, so YouTubers, you guys gave me some very interesting feedback on it, and maybe we should revisit some of these nursery rhymes from time to time. I'm gonna ask you guys can always message me and choose one that you think is something to revisit. Shabaranks, he did say ting-a-ling-a-ling, school bell ring, knife and fork, fight for dumpling. Booyaka booyaka off a Shabaranking. And that's him saying, I know me say it, but it's just very, very much it's just a real interesting concept. And so something to think about. But that's it for this week. Big up on yourself. All right.
It took some time to understand. Yeah. Just what it takes to be a man. Now it seems each day you learn something to make a better way. Growing up ain't just a phase, it's reality. And sometimes it's hard to face the world with your head screwed on. But in time you will see, it comes naturally, like the hurt and the pain. It's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better, you live it your own way. But if you need a helping hand, just call on me, I will be your friend. And when it gets hard to face the world with your head screwed on, just tell yourself you can. And that's when you'll understand that the hurt and the pain, it's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. You gotta keep on moving on. Don't let no one stand in your way. Gotta keep on pressing on. As we pray for better days, keep it moving. Moving to the next. When they try to bring you down, we gotta take it. Take it to the next level when they come around. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. Just keep your head up, yeah. Just keep your head up, yeah. Gotta keep your head up, yeah. Cause everything's gonna be alright.
Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Keep your head up.
Cause everything's gonna be alright.